Judge Page, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my name is Melissa Benvenuto, and I, along with my co-counsel, Desiree Watson, will be representing the state of Lone Star. This case is about innocence being torn away from a young girl ripped away from the security of her own home and away from her loving parents. But this case is also fraught with smoke and mirrors, so today, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to clear the path to see that justice is served for Sarah Salmon. Sarah Salmon is a 14-year-old girl from Tahoe. She was known in the community to be smart and polite, not a problem, and she was active on her junior high softball team. She was also known to be loved by caring, timid, interested, and attentive parents. Parents who sacrificed their time to be present and encourage her and protect her. But on the night of August 13th, 2002, Sarah was torn away from this reality, and she was led to her untimely death. You will hear testimony today about how Sarah had a normal night with her family, perhaps even a great one. They had dinner together after she finished her homework, and she arrived home from school on time. She watched TV with them, and then she read until she fell asleep. You will hear testimony from her father, Paul Salmon, that he checked on her at 10 p.m., that the doors were locked, and she was sound asleep, with the window cracked, as was typical in the Salmon household, to let in a nice breeze. You will then later hear how Mr. Grouper, a registered child sex offender and Sarah's neighbor, ended up at a 7-Eleven just around the block at 3 a.m. asking if any buses had traveled through at that hour, with his operational mobile home right around the corner of the building. You will also hear how Sarah's blood was found scattered in his basement, found scattered in his mobile home, the same mobile home that was identified at that 7-Eleven, and the same motor home whose tire tracks were an exact match to those found where Sarah's body was found in the dirt. The defense will present a case of smoke and mirrors. You will hear that Sarah ran from her home to Mr. Grouper's, that she sought relief from being beaten bloody by her father, and that conveniently Mr. Grouper's friend David Mackerel was there, a nurse, allegedly, to bandage her wounds. Yet no evidence or forensic DNA was found in the Salmon household of blood, nor was Mr. Mackerel's DNA found anywhere at any of the crime scene locations. You will also hear evidence today from Ms. Casey Fish. She will tell you that she has been told about Sarah's beatings before, but how does a mother let another woman's child be beaten without reporting it to authorities or addressing the mother herself? You will also hear evidence about an email sent allegedly from Sarah to her son, Kevin Fish, also known as Fish Face. But what's interesting is that Sarah was only allowed to use the computer for her homework. And even then, she had to have parental guidance. And even then, she never used the email. But above all that, everyone in the Salmon household was asleep by then. Of all you will hear today, what the defense cannot tell you is how only she and Mr. Grouper's DNA was found at each of the crime scenes, found in the motorhome that was abandoned, pointing to Mr. Grouper as the sole aggressor. The defense cannot tell you this because it would prove that Mr. Grouper kidnapped and murdered Sarah Salmon. But to Mr. Grouper, as a registered sex offender, he had to do this. He had to kill Sarah because if he was found with another child, the consequences would be severe. Ms. Desiree Watson and I today will prove all of this by showing you that Sarah's death was a consequence of and while Mr. Grouper was engaged in the terrorizing act of kidnapping Sarah Salmon. And then once he kidnapped her, he brutally murdered her. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will prove this, and we will present evidence that clears the smoke and mirrors beyond a reasonable doubt. And we ask you to find Mr. Grouper guilty of kidnapping and felony first-degree murder. But above all of this, we ask you to be a voice for the voiceless, Sarah Salmon. Thank you.